That's them dead in 4K right here. Look at them. Look how sad that looks.
The Power of Love song is to this day so top tier. Honestly, to this day I can still twerk to that song.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Welcome in.
Hi, I am SuperNamu, but you can just call me Namu, and I'm your local anime connoisseur, but mostly like 90s and early 2000s connoisseur, not so much newbies. So that's a lie. I watch a lot of new stuff too.
And I'm Whimsy. I go by Black Whimsy on pretty much anything. I'm a streamer, content creator, mostly dealing with anime. Big anime connoisseur as well. I am also the lieutenant of the Sasuke Defender Squad in my spare time. We are your wonderful hosts for this show, and we are hoping to share our love for anime, cosplay, and all things like that with you guys. And today is very special because it is our first show, and we thought the best way to go about it was to share our firsts. Our anime firsts. So I just wanted to say that even though anime's been around for a minute, I just think it's really crazy because I had read on Crunchyroll that say over 7 million minutes of content is watched daily on Crunchyroll. So that's 7 million minutes of like anime or anime related content each day, and I could just see it taking over the world if it already hasn't already.
I mean, it's really been like popularized in the last I want to say 5 or so years. When we were kids, we would have to watch our anime in 15 parts on YouTube at 140p or something. And then nowadays, kids can just watch an entire episode on streaming services, and it's really all over, the world now, instead of just on TV on the weekends at 8 p.m.
I definitely agree. And the access to it definitely helps. I also think during the pandemic, when everyone was inside, everyone's like, let's just watch anime. And I think that also has something to do with it too.
So speaking of first, I thought we can talk about what our first animes were. And I'll go first. So at 4 years old or so, my first anime was Dragon Ball Z. At least I like to think so. When I actually think about it, probably, if we're gonna be super accurate, it's probably Speed Racer or something. But when I was 4 years old or so, to shut me up, my dad would just sit me in front of the TV and he would put Cartoon Network on, and it was Toonami during the day. I remember Toonami used to have Toonami at sunrise, Toonami, and then Toonami at midnight. And Toonami during the day used to have just a collection of some of the greatest animes of all time. And I don't know, something about Dragon Ball Z just had me from the get-go. I love the crap out of Dragon Ball Z. I still do, honestly.
You really do. I talk a lot of mess about the Dragon Ball series, but I cannot lie that it pioneered anime as it is, which is actually really funny because my first anime is also Dragon Ball. And
so great minds think alike.
Yeah, I feel like it was the first couple that was on TV that you can openly watch. I don't remember a lot of anime at that point. I remember even collecting DVDs of anime, going to Blockbuster and getting some. But I definitely remember Dragon Ball was really big. I remember even Tenchi Muyo, Sailor Moon, those things are in the back of my head. But I think my first conscious anime was Dragon Ball.
No, Dragon Ball Z was the first one I realized this is not regular cartoons. I think like I said, I saw Speed Racer. I'm pretty sure Astro Boy was thrown in there somewhere too. My dad was a big fan of Speed Racer, and he had all the episodes recorded on VHS. But but it wasn't until Dragon Ball Z I was like, okay, I really enjoy this style of animation. It's not the normal cartoons that we would see on Nickelodeon and such.
I agree. I feel the storytelling was so different from what animation and cartoons were like. I feel there was only adult Family Guy, and there was Blue's Clues. That was it. That was the range.
And I remember as a kid, my mom said that she always hated Dragon Ball Z because whenever she walked past my room, all she would hear is screaming and yelling. And I had to explain, you know, that's just the way that they power up, and it's not just Dragon Ball Z. But she associates screaming and yelling with Dragon Ball Z, and to this day she still hates Dragon Ball Z.
Is that how you like got into anime first? It was through your dad or your mom, or how did you get into it?
I would say it was probably through my dad. Like, through my mom was video games, and through my dad was anime. Even like to this day, he every now and again would be like, "Oh, did you watch the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super?" I'm like, "No, Dad, but I'm glad to know that you are still watching this."
That's what I aspire to be like, so I can see it. I didn't get into anime until, actually, it's funny because when I immigrated to America, my Jamaican mom did not know nothing about anime. I still do not think she knows anything about it either. But it was my sister, and there's a big age gap. So she was in high school, I was like in kindergarten, and her boyfriend at the time used to love anime, and we would go over to his house and I would watch it there. And that's like how I got into it. Don't like that man, but I did appreciate what he introduced to me. We also asked our anime mutuals what their first anime were, so we're going to go ahead and share that.
So, as you can see, some of the answers that we got from our community, one was Outlaw Star, and I never actually watched Outlaw Star. I know it's came out around the same time, or not came out, but like it was premiering on like American television around the same time as Toonami in like, you know, the early anime days on, I'm going to show my age, UPN and WB. And what was it, G4 Tech TV, those channels that actually showed anime. And I never watched it, but I can always tell the style of the animation and the way that the anime is drawn, and I can instantly know, like, oh, the person who did Outlaw Star did this, because they're such a very unique animation style to that series. And I think another one's like Galaxy Railways or something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and the person who did Outlaw Star I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but he's also the person who did the music video for Daft Punk's One More Time. And yeah, like if you look at the same like art styles, like it's the same and everything. And I remember when Daft Punk said that he was retiring and everyone was talking about their favorite music videos, we all got into a discussion about One More Time and talking about the crossovers with anime, manga artists and such from that conversation.
That's super dope. I know a lot of people, or a lot of our anime mutuals said like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z was really big, really good. Even some Ghibli fans, like some of our anime mutuals said that My Neighbor Totoro was their first example into it, which reminds me, I feel like I remember when Spirited Away came out in theaters, like that was such a big thing. I definitely have that.
I don't remember
really?
Studio Ghibli in the movie theaters. Like I remember watching, the very first one I ever watched was Kiki's Delivery Service, and that was just like on TV one day. But like it wasn't until like years down the line when I'm more familiar with anime and just anything related to Japanese culture, and I was like, oh, I actually seen this movie when I was a kid.
And don't worry about showing your age, because whoever said Lupin the Third, we know that what their age is like. No, I'm not gonna say anything. No hate. I also think it's funny because I do ask like other people what their first animes are, and they will say like My Hero Academia is their first anime, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I realized that like this generation, who 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, that's when all these new animes were coming out. So it was like their first, which is really crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, like the very first time I watched Dragon Ball Z, I was like 4 years old. And when I was in college and I had studied abroad to Japan, and one of my fellow classmates who came from my school in America, he said that he felt like he was very, very late to the anime genre, and at the time he was like, I think like 22 or something like that, and he said, oh, I just got into anime like a year ago, and that blew my mind. I was like, oh, you're into Japanese culture and everything, not for anime. That was wild, because most people start off like that. But it's just weird to talk to folks who are really recent to the anime scene. I'm so used to being like, oh yeah, you know, grew up to that, watch Naruto in bedrooms, go to school the next day to talk about it with my fellow classmates. Like, that was just the thing. And now it's wild.
Know. Like, there's no more like AMVs. It's like TikTok anime edits that are like 10 seconds. They go off. They do. It's just crazy. I miss the good old Linkin Park to some Naruto on YouTube. Like, that was definitely it.
So our next question that we asked the community was, what was the first anime to make you cry? And for me, it was Ash's quote-unquote death in the Pokemon the first movie. That was traumatizing. Absolutely. I didn't see it in the theaters, but my mom had rented it on pay-per-view, showing my age again. She rented it on pay-per-view one day before she went to work and put in a tape in our VCR to record it so I could watch it anytime. And sitting there by myself, because I was a, latchkey kid and my mom had to go to work and I was by myself, and watching Pokemon and just seeing this character who I've watched their complete journey, on TV with the TV series, die on screen, and Pikachu just having a meltdown as well. And I'm just like, I don't even remember how old I was, but I was stressed and traumatized. And to this day, I have not seen the Pokemon movie again, because it's like when Mufasa dies in Lion King. Like, I don't want to see this. This is, yeah, exactly. I don't want to go through this again.
I have to say, if you did not cry to this happening to Ash, I consider you like a monster, and like I would like call the police. Like, I think like that is definitely like a red flag if you didn't shed at least one tear to see an Ash like that. No, not even Ash. It was Pikachu. Who's like, Pika. He was trying to wake him up.
Right.
I'm about to cry all over again.
I'm like, I get goosebumps. I'm stressed right now just talking about it.
That is too funny. My first scene that made me cry, I'm gonna set the scene for you, okay?
Okay.
So my girls in Sailor Moon, it was like the last episode of the first season. They are going to the villain's Queen Barrels. It's like this icy tundra, and the girls have to get there to fight Queen Beryl. And that was like, oh my god, like, this is it. This is like the climax of like stress. And I remember I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna make it? And I feel like it wasn't until that scene, and I don't know if you guys know, basically Sailor Moon, Sailor Mercury, Sailor Mars, Sailor Venus, Sailor Jupiter were running, and basically they were getting killed off one by one. It was very traumatizing. It first happened to one of them, and I was like, oh my god. And then it just kept happening, and basically they all had to sacrifice themselves so Sailor Moon, who is the hero, could get over there and win the fight. And I even read that they actually died in like the actual anime, like they were dead, like they're murdered. But for like the American version, it was like hinted that like, they didn't really die because it wasn't like for kids. So that's pretty much it. I just think when I think of Usagi, I didn't think that it was gonna get this serious. And even her crying, I was like, I don't know, that was like girl friendship for me. I was like, I wish my friends would sacrifice for me. So that's pretty much my cry moment.
Honestly, I completely feel you on that one. It wasn't until years later I realized that it's supposed to represent their deaths. Yeah. And I just thought that they passed out. I was like, okay, power of friendship, they're sending their energy to Serena,
Serena.
sending their energy to Usagi, and I'm just like, okay, cool, great, yeah. And 9 years later, I'm like, oh, they were dead. Those were dead bodies.
And I remember the last one was Mars, and she was like, "You can't be a crybaby. You need to go there, and you need to do what you gotta do." And I love Sailor Moon because she's a crybaby, because I'm a crybaby too. So I was like, "Oh my god, I want to start crying." But it was just so amazing. But then after the tears, see like such a good progress with her story. Really awesome.
Right. I guess the American censorship for Sailor Moon is wild, because just going back and thinking like, oh, this was a innocent, wholesome anime, and it's like, no, not really that wholesome when you think about it. Like, folks were getting got in Sailor Moon. People were dying. And I always think about probably one of the first times I cried to an anime movie related to Sailor Moon was the Promise of the Rose movie. Mm-hmm. At the end where she like dies after sacrificing herself, I was a wreck for a while. Like, Sailor Moon just be having me crying my heart out, because
there we go. Yeah, see, that's them dead in 4K right here. Look at them. Look how sad that looks. Look how sad that looks. It's funny because I watched the Netflix release like a couple years back, maybe 2 years, a movie, the Crystal movie, and it wasn't sad, but there was like this scene where they all like they ascend and they become like super Sailor Scouts, and they all get different dresses, and I was crying. I was like, oh my god, they did it. And my partner at the time was like, what are you doing? Like, they're just twirling around. That's so funny. Anyway,
I never watched the Crystal version, but with the original version, the Power of Love song is to this day so top tier American anime song of all time.
I believe it deserves to be in a museum.
Honestly, to this day I can still twerk to that song.
You know what I was surprised about when we asked our anime mutuals what they cried over? Why were like half of them Dragon Ball? And I thought that was so crazy, because I was like, oh my god, they always come back. They died, but they always came back. Like, I know someone said like future Gohan's death still hits them to this day, and I'm like, yeah, that was sad, but like, then
not gonna lie, that whole movie is pretty sad and tragic. So I kind of get where they're coming from.
No, because it was already pre-established that they like go to heaven or whatever that is, and they like remember when Goku was like that. So I just was like, oh, he's gonna come back. It's fine. It wasn't like a real death. That's just kind of what I felt. But it's everyone's story.
Right. One that I feel wholeheartedly is Grave of the Fireflies. Like, I had to watch that when I was in college, and in the beginning of the movie, like, they tell you, like, what's about to happen, because it's the ending is in the beginning of the movie, and then having to see how it actually leads up to that had me wrecked. And I think I was like 21 in the middle of my Japanese culture class, just in the corner bawling my eyes out because these two kids and all the stuff that they had to go through because of war and everything. And one of our enemy mutuals, they didn't listen when people told them that the subject matter was extremely heavy. And yeah, I feel it completely.
I agree. They didn't listen. I did. I will tell you, the one thing I am not going to do is watch something where I know death is imminent. Like, I know Great Fireflies is sad. I'm not watching. I never watched it. I refuse. I'm like,
you don't need to. Don't do it to yourself.
April, the first episode, she went to the hospital. I was like, oh, she gonna die. I stopped watching that anime too. Like, I'm not joking. If I know that there's like a sickness, there's a death, I'm turning it off. I need my peace.
So going along the same lines as crying, what was the first anime to surprise you or shock you? And funny enough, Wolf's Rain, the ending of Wolf's Rain.
Oh, that's yours?
Yes. That was the first time I watched something and I was just floored at what was happening. The entire ending, I was confused. I didn't catch it every episode because it was on Adult Swim, and having to stay up that late was hard, and I often got in trouble for staying up that late to catch anime that late. But when I did catch Wolf's Rain, it was always just such a sad, like you said, sad anime. And when I saw that last episode, I kind of just sat in silence for a while because I was absolutely confused about what I saw and what just happened to the main cast. And my favorite was Toboy, and seeing what happened to him, I was just like, what is life? It's not what I want anymore.
I definitely
hated it.
Oh my goodness, the thing about staying up late, I knew I had a problem with anime. Like, there was an anime I watched, I can't even remember. It came at 2:30 in the morning. Now, I would sleep, I would go to sleep, I would set an alarm for 2 o'clock. Then I would go into my fridge where I had a bowl of ice water that I would dunk my face into. I'm not even joking. It was so surreal. I don't know what was wrong with me. I needed to go. I definitely needed someone to stop me. And I would like slap it on my face because I just wanted to be up so I can watch it, because there was no other way for you to watch the anime. Like, I didn't even know the name. YouTube wasn't a thing. Like, I couldn't find it. So if I didn't watch it and I didn't stay up, I was never gonna know. So I'm definitely with you on that.
So you dunked your face into a bowl of ice water to keep yourself awake?
Yeah, I did. I do a lot of crazy things with anime. I'll say that. The most shocking scene that I watch, and I'm gonna show you, and if you recognize this, then you know exactly where it's from. And basically it is Edwards and Al's mother when they tried to do human transmutation for the first time. And the worst part was this part, because they did it, and I think that was like the first shocking anime for me, because it never got that graphic. Like, Ed doesn't have a leg, where's Al? Why are they doing things in blood? Why is there this body that's not their mother's, like, crawling towards them, like gasping for air? I was like, I didn't even know what was going on. I truly thought that she was going to come back to life. I was like, this is anime. They're going to do it. Everything's going to be fine. But that is not what happened. So that was like one of my, it's real. Like, I was very shocked that this happened. It definitely made me cry too. So I would put those two things together.
A Full Metal Alchemist is one of those animes where far and few episodes are lighthearted. Like, most of that anime is traumatizing.
It's
now,
so good.
Don't cut me down, but I've never watched Brotherhood. I only watched the original. I know, terrible. But the original was,
it was good. I would say I like the original.
It's just a sad anime. It's so sad.
It was shocking because I didn't even mention the whole stop, I'm gonna do a bad joke. You know what joke I'm gonna do. The dog. What was her name? What's her name? I know it was the doctor, and someone, she was like, Edward. And that was so scary. That was shocking to me too. I'm looking at like what our anime mutuals were saying. They said the most shocking, back to Dragon Ball Z, they said the most shocking thing was Goku being transformed to Super Saiyan. And I might be like, oh, whatever now, but I'm guessing when that came out, because that was probably his first time. He's done Super Saiyan like 13,000 times, but that first time, I'm sure like it was crazy. And that's what
it was monumental. That was a really, really great scene. Krillin dies. Everything seems to be at an end. Frieza's winning, and there's something more than just the Kaioken that Goku's been doing up until this point. Like, there's a whole nother level of power up, and that's for a lot of us who watch Dragon Ball Z, you know, in the afternoons or in the evenings. You know, as a kid, seeing that transformation, that was a pretty amazing scene.
I'm so curious. What was your first fandom?
It was Naruto. It was Naruto. As a kid, when I was in middle school, I went to an art school, so it was very, very common to meet someone who watched anime. That was just a normal thing. Everyone that I knew either watched anime or knew of anime, so I can go up to someone and be like, "Oh yeah, did you see that latest episode of yada yada yada?" And when I was in middle school, I was part of a big old group of friends who also collectively loved Naruto.
Are any mutuals their first fandoms? I'm surprised. I'm not too surprised because some of them said that they didn't have a fandom that they ever joined, which I think is kind of normal. I feel like fandomness grew more as time progressed.
Yeah, it's more prevalent now compared to back then. Back then you'd be like, oh yeah, I like such and such anime or whatever. But nowadays it's like, if you speak just a little bit about such an anime that you like, more than likely you are in that fandom. Maybe not even realize it for some too.
I was also surprised with the Gundam wing, but I say that I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised because, like, statistically, I know how popular Gundam is. It's like one of the most popular series of like all time, and there are so many spin-offs of it, and it even like birthed the actual like mecha genre in general. So like I can definitely see like that was like a good fandom. I still don't know what you would do in that fandom. Maybe they built mechas.
Well, I know it's very, very popular to craft and build them. You can buy like the sets and like put the pieces together. And I know in Japan they have the gigantic Gundam. I think in Tokyo, I'm not sure exactly where in Tokyo, you can like actually go see it, and it's just chilling there on display, and it's like I think it's supposed to be life size. Like, it's huge. And people go to Japan just to see that. So, like, there is a huge fandom behind Gundam. I could never get into it, though. Like I said, I'm not really into robots and stuff like that. I think I've seen maybe a little bit of, like, if it wasn't Gundam Wing, like Gundam Zero or Mobile Suit Gundam, one of the three.
I know, I feel like I saw one of the three, but like actually one of my favorite animes is a mecha anime, even though some people don't consider it. I don't know if you've ever seen Full Metal Panic.
Oh, yes, actually, that's the only other mecha anime I could say that I actually loved.
I loved it. Were they in mechas? Sometimes. So I would consider it a mecha anime too.
I think the intermission season between season 1 and 2 is probably like my favorite part of Full Metal Panic. Just nothing but comedic episodes.
I love that, man.
If you haven't seen Full Metal Panic, please do. It's hilarious. It's really, really good, and a solid mecha anime for sure.
I agree.
Like someone also said that definitely Pokemon. When you got a Game Boy, you had to get Pokemon. The series allowed me to make friends in just about any situation. And I feel like that's true for a lot of folks who are big fans of Pokemon, with, it being a video game. A lot of people's first games on the Game Boy or a Nintendo system in general was Pokemon. Mm-hmm. I know Pokemon was it Fire Red, Leaf Green? I don't quote me on anything about Pokemon. I'm still new to their games. I watched the anime.
Really?
Yeah. The very first Pokemon game I ever played was Let's Go Pikachu a couple years ago. So I'm very, very baby. Since then I've played Soul Silver and Brilliant Diamond, the remake recently, and then there was another one, I can't remember. Soul Silver, so far favorite game.
Nice. I played every Pokemon, even like I skipped Black Diamond, and then they re-released it recently and I was able to play it on the Switch for the first time. But my favorite was Ruby and Sapphire, and that was like middle school era for me. I would bring they would have the Nintendo, not the DS, the one that flips up. What was that one called?
The SP?
Yes, people would flip it out. Like, we had Pokemon cards we were dealing. Like, that was a fandom. I agree. That was a really big fandom.
So the next question that we asked the Animutuals was, who was your first anime crush? And for me personally, that was hard to think about it because I am a video game girl at heart. I play video games more than I watch anime, and so I instantly thought, oh yeah, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Okay. That's been someone I've been in love with since I was 4 years old. Before I knew anything, I was like, this is a man. But when I think about the first like animes that I watch and think about, okay, what character that I thought was good looking, what character I was like, oh, I have a crush on him. First one I thought instantly, it's Shomaru from Inuyasha.
Oh my goodness.
That
was a man.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about his crimes that he's committed recently, but
we don't talk about Yashahime. But talking about Inuyasha, Shomaru, I love this man to bits. I thought he was so cool, calm, and collected. He was obviously stronger than most of the cast, even though he lost to Inuyasha. This man was so stronger and everything, and just anytime he's on screen, I had actual heart eyes. Because I was just like, oh my god, it's my man. It's my baby daddy. I love him so much. Who was your first anime crush, though?
So that's like the funny part. And I say that we're like twins, Namu, because it's not just Shomaru, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
It's it's his homie, his brother. So my first like husbando, my favorite, like my first anime crush was Inuyasha from Inuyasha. And I had to like really think about it, because first I was like, oh my god, maybe it's Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, but I was like, no, I really like him. He was kind of annoying, but I was just like, I think Inuyasha was like one of my first like romance anime, because it's like a romance, and it was so good. So like I was like falling in love with him, just like Kagome was.
He's so toxic though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm gonna need him to make up his mind. Is it Kikyo or Kagome? Like, I'm gonna need him to stop chasing after Kikyo every 5 seconds. See, my boy Shomaru, he one track mind. He didn't care about no one.
No, but you know what it was? Every time Kagome was like, sit boy, I was like, that's it. I want a submissive man just like that. And that's where that came from.
Screaming.
Sit boy, that shit had me cracking up. I was like, yeah, you can. I thought it was amazing. I like loved him because he always had to listen to her. She was like the boss, Kagome. And that whole Kikyo thing, we all make mistakes.
No, not the mistakes.
I know, and it's super funny. I think he was lovable.
He had some redeeming qualities. It just wasn't as good looking as Shomaru, that's all.
I know, and of course, yeah, I guess. I think
it's okay to be wrong.
Cute. No, because I don't. So Shomaru was so mean. Like, he was such a hater to Inuyasha, and I hate a hater. Like, if you're just hating to hate, get out of here. So I was never down with Shomaru. I was always like, I see here. But Inuyasha, he just does something to me. And I have to say it was hard, because I feel like when I think about anime in the past, like, they weren't like fine. They were not fine. I'll say, give you that. It was not like maybe like Kakashi, like that was it. Nowadays, we're blessed with such an abundance of some fine anime men.
We are. It's almost every anime you watch, there's someone good looking on there, and it's hard to stay loyal to your OGs, honestly.
I know.
And it makes me think, we got husbandos. There's also waifus. Like, my first waifu, I had to really, really think about it, because that wasn't something I thought about. But going back to some of the early animes, not so much as a waifu, but I just felt really seen, was Gidget from Eureka 7. She was like cool. One of the first black characters in the anime that I saw as a kid, and I was like, this is me. I see someone that I love instantly. I love Gidget, and she wasn't like a main character of the show, and I love Eureka 7, one of my favorite animes. Actually, there's a mecha anime.
It's mecha, yeah, you're right.
Wow, do I actually
look
like
at
mecha
us?
Anime?
We're mecha fans.
But Eureka 7, if you haven't watched it, please do. It's a really, really, really good anime, and the English dub is solid too. But Gidget is such an amazing character. She's kind of a klutz, but she's like super smart, part of the main character's team, and she is the reason why main character Renton and Eureka like reconcile their feelings and such and all that. I'm not going to spoil it, but like, she's such an important character to the main character's development.
I really loved her. She was so cute. I feel like every character design in Eureka 7 was like it was good. Like it was good.
Animation's so good.
It was so good. So when I thought about waifus, it was hard for me too because I wasn't really thinking about it. But like I thought about like which girl did I want to be, and I had to think. And of course, it was my girl Sailor Venus. I feel like I know those are my baes together. I love Sailor Venus. I loved her with my whole heart and soul. There's just something about her. Like, I don't know. Like, it's so hard to explain. I feel like I'm blushing. Like, I loved her. She loved fashion. She was like a girl's girl. She was very strong. She was like a leader.
She did OG Sailor Scout. Like, before Moon was doing something, there was Venus.
Exactly. So that's where I'm like, you know, she was such someone that I looked up to. Like she was amazing and I always wanted to be her. I would be her best friend and I'd be her wife too because I loved her that much. You know what I have to say, and this is like a hater thing to shonen, but like they need romance to progress the story to make like their kids, but they're not good at writing the romance. So it's just like weird because I'm like, what? Like their relationships are so odd. And I know it's like never like the focus, but it's still important. Make it believable. Let me believe it, you know?
That's what I appreciate animes like One Piece where it's Luffy's definitely like asexual. Like that man don't care about nothing. He has Boa Hancock fawning over him and he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm Gucci. And I need more anime protags like that. Like I don't need romance. If I want romance, I'll watch a slice of life or a actual, you know, shoujo or actual romantic anime. Like I'm here for the butt kicking.
I don't know. I want it all. When I watch an anime, I want the butt kicking. I want a romance of the ages. I want to cry. I want to laugh. Like I want everything from an anime. And so very few do it. So when I say like my favorite animes, I'm like, they did that. They did that.
Definitely. If they're gonna put, you know, romantic ties in it, it needs to be good. Like, I'm gonna need both parties to mutually be in love with each other or develop said love for each other. I can't stand the unrequited love. No, like, please. If I wanted to watch angst, I'd just read fan fiction or something. Like, please, love between each other.
So our next question that we asked our Annie mutuals and ourselves was about our first convention.
Yeah. Speaking of conventions, the first anime convention in America was YamatoCon, which was in Dallas, Texas back in 1983 or so. And it only had 100 people in attendance. Like, I can't even fathom something like that. Like the cons that I often frequent is always like over 10K. So it's just to think that the first con was only 100 people. And like in recent years, 2022 Anime Expo, which is one of the most famous American anime conventions on the West Coast, had over 100,000 attendees. We've come a long way since then, from 183 to 100,000.
It seems like it's just getting bigger. I see like videos of like how many people are storming conventions, and I'm like, oh my god, I would be so claustrophobic. I couldn't do it.
Like, part of me wants to be like, he wants to experience said huge anime conventions like that. Like, I want to go to Anime Expo one day, but then when I be seeing those, you know, clips of just the not even the actual convention, but like the lobby outside it's crowded. I'm just like, if I wanted to experience that, I would go to like a concert and get like ground floor tickets or something. I don't but I mean, I guess if I went with like a group of friends, then we can all suffer together. I don't know about going by myself to Anime Expo with over 100,000 attendees.
What was your first convention then? Was it small or big?
It was maybe medium size, I guess. So the first convention I went to was Animazement, which was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I went when I was, I want to say 16 years old. I was in high school still. And my very, very first experience, and I lived about 2.5 hours from it, so I had to carpool with one of my friends at the time. Her mom drove us all the way there, and we got there super late because, you know, still in school, can't skip it or anything, and it was really cool. Never experienced anything like that. There was some like YouTubers that I watched their YouTube videos all the time actually went, and I got to meet them and like get a picture and an autograph and everything. I don't even know if I still have those pictures, but I enjoyed it. I had a great time. When I look back on it, I would never go back to that convention. It's compared to the cons that I've gone to of recently, it's just it's okay. I would give it like, you know, out of 5 stars, probably like 2.5 or something. It's decent. Like as a first convention, it's cool. If you love Japanese culture and everything, that's a great one. They have a lot of type of panels and guests. Like if you plan on teaching in Japan kind of situation, or if you want to live in Japan, they'd be having those panels of like, you know, Japanese 101 or what to expect as a tourist in Japan, this type of stuff. One of their guests a few years ago was a YouTube couple that lives in Japan, so, you know, they talk about their experiences and such. But if you're going for anime and video games and such, maybe not so much anime.
So like my first convention, I was late to the bang. So my first convention I ever went to was like in 2021. It was Anime NYC. And I remember I cosplayed with, and this is a video because this is the craziest thing that happened to me. So I actually was Isabel from...
Oh, you're so adorable. Oh my goodness.
So that was me and my partner. And like, honestly, the craziest thing was that video got 1 million views. My first convention, my first cosplay, like on TikTok, that was like the most craziest thing ever. And it was so surreal. I was like, people like this cosplay. I felt like I just like kind of did it once. But Anime NYC was really good. And like my boyfriend, he's been to cons since he was like 10. Like he like remembers like going there. And I'm like, you've been to the conventions that young? And I was like, what do you mean? These chicken tenders and these fries are $20. Like, what do you mean there's nowhere to sit? Like, what do you mean people can touch you? Like, I was like, what? Like, I was just so confused. It was such a like crazy, but I loved it. I loved it. That con was really fun. There was so much to do. I feel like I can't go any, like if I went to a small con, which I have actually, it doesn't compare. It was so good, and I loved it. It was so amazing.
So my first cosplay was Princess Euphemia from Kogias, which is actually another mecha anime. And just thinking,
that's crazy.
You know what? I take back what I said that I don't like mecha anime, because I'm finding out just thinking about it that I do. But yeah, I was Princess Euphemia, and I think I was 17 because I was still in high school, and I didn't want to wear her wedding dress. So I got the school uniform and just got her wig, and that wig was atrocious. I got it from eBay. This was at times where there was not really anime websites to buy cosplays, like Easy Cosplay, McCostumes, and Amazon wasn't a thing like that. So having to get this wig from eBay and this cosplay, I don't actually remember where I got the cosplay from. It might have been eBay too, but it was a wild process waiting like 3 months to get it and everything.
Oh my goodness.
But I love that. I actually want to re-cosplay as her.
You should.
But this is my most recent on the right is Scaramouche from Genshin Impact. Not an anime.
Wow.
But compared to 17 to at the time 29 to do this, I think what I definitely really improved of was makeup, because there's no makeup on my face in the first picture. But
it looks also good.
Thank you.
I know. I feel like cosplay's evolved. Like you got to be a good editor. Wigs are evolved. Everything like is so much iffy. So like my first cosplay, technically I did a closet cosplay, and it's funny because I was reading manga, and this manga popped up, and it was called Demon Slayer. And I read it, it was like 11 p.m. I'm reading it. I read it to 2:30 in the morning. And at this point, the manga wasn't done. It had stopped just right at the red, district arc. So this is important. So that's when like you see Nezuko like really like pop off, and I just loved her. So I grabbed my pink blanket, I wrapped it around. It was near Halloween because I had some fake blood on hand, and I did my first closet cosplay. And that is
Ooh.
me. I look so pale. I don't know what happened, but
You look amazing though.
it was so like I loved her so much. That was such a look, and I cosplayed much later in life. I feel like there was a lot of insecurities there for me, so I was never felt like I was like embarrassed. I never felt like the want to. I always wanted to. I'll say that, but I just never did. But this was like the first time, and like I posted it, and people liked it, and it was like super cute. It made me really happy because then I convinced me to cosplay more. And now these are my most recent cosplays.
Oh my goodness, you look amazing in both. You know, I love me some Cardcaptor Sakura, so
I love that. I definitely feel like I was like, I'm on a mission. That cosplay specifically, I made the twirling cards. I had to make that. It was hard. I made her wand. That purse, I actually had her cloud cards, and I actually just emptied the box and bought a strap to make it into a purse to hold my phone.
Oh, that's really, really cute to do that.
And the way that I had like 2 petticoats on, like I wanted it to be so poofy. It was unbearable. It was such an amazing, like I put so much effort. I really enjoy that one. And even like my rouge one, like I felt like I ate that one up.
Okay, your glasses is just absolutely amazing. Like that's really cool.
I had a vision. Like when I think of cosplay, I'm like, I have a vision. This is what it's gonna look like. And this cosplay actually fell apart while I was there. Like the hard part fell off. I was like, oof. I hot glued myself at the cosplay repair because I had like those gloves, and I was trying to fix it with hot glue. And I seared it. I have a scar still from it.
Hot glue gun like mistakes are painful. Like I seared my my pointer finger not long ago trying to glue a skeleton to my door for Halloween decorations, and I felt like my time had came. Like it was time to move on. I was ready to pass away on the spot from how painful a hot glue gun is to the skin.
I agree. And like even our Annie mutuals, when they said their first cosplays, I was actually surprised because a lot of them were not really anime, but like gaming too. Like someone said like they were Gambit, which I thought was really cool from comic books. Someone said they cosplayed as Commander LaForge from Star Trek. I was like, okay. But like the one I thought was the cutest was Cammy from My Hero. I think that's an adorable cosplay, and I'm sure this cosplayer looked amazing.
Absolutely love Cammy. She's one of my favorite characters from My Hero, so I can already picture how adorable they definitely look. But I was surprised at this one. They said yes, Sheena from Tales of Symphonia, and Tales of Symphonia is one of my favorite video games. Ooh. And Sheena is a ninja, and so she has like a purple like short kimono, and she has like purple hair, kind of like the little duck butt hair spiky in the background with the bangs and everything, and she's so like she's a klutz and she's adorable and I love her. So just knowing that there's a Tales of Symphonia cosplayer out there, I like, please DM me your pictures because I gotta see this.
I love that. I'm so happy to see people cosplay. I definitely feel like putting yourself out there in general is very scary, and for people to like really do something they like, it's amazing.
Like looking back on your first cosplays, like what would you say to yourself? Like what tips, what advice would you give yourself to you say not too long ago you started, so like, you know, now that you know a lot more, what would you say to yourself?
I actually would talk to not my like first cosplay self, but I would talk to like my high school self, and I would say you should have started earlier. I would have told myself like it's okay. All the hate, all like you thought people were gonna laugh at you, it's not gonna happen. It kind of does happen, but at the same time, there are people that really love cosplays. At the same time, there are haters in the world. There are people that really enjoy cosplays. So I would definitely tell myself to definitely learn how to sew. start earlier and just put yourself out there, because the more you put yourself out there, the more other people see you putting yourself out there, and we can make a more diverse and inclusive community. And that's just what I would say. What would you say, Namu?
Well, I would definitely say know your exact measurements. It makes it easy when purchasing or making. Definitely don't be afraid to just, cosplay whatever you want to do. Just do it. Just do it. There are going to always be haters regardless if you do it or not. There's always going to be someone out there just like, yeah, whatever. But just do your research. If you want to do this character, you can do it, Don't be afraid. And when researching these cosplays, please research so you don't waste your money on stuff that will look a hot mess or don't fit and such.
I've wasted a lot of money.
Same. Amazon is wallet friendly. If you can't afford from actual cosplay websites, and this is not an intricate cosplay, don't be afraid to do Amazon. Amazon can get you some of those cosplay pieces, even if it's not the entire cosplay.
I agree. And even do a closet cosplay. Do it. Even if it's not accurate, textbook accurate, I'm sure it's gonna be fun. Trust us, it's gonna be fun.
Thrifting's your best friend if you want to do budget friendly cosplays as well. When I did my Tails cosplay from Sonic the Hedgehog, I based it off of a Tails from Sonic Boom, and he has a utility belt and everything. I didn't have a utility belt, but I wanted to have that brown color for the utility belt as a jacket, and I got the jacket off of Amazon, and I got fur from Goodwill and all the accessories to make that, pulled from various other thrifting and fast fashion websites to make it, and it was way cheaper than my card capture soccer cosplay. That was probably no actually my Scaramouche cosplay is probably the most expensive I ever.
My card capture one was my most expensive too. But be creative. I definitely think cosplay in itself, it gives you an opportunity to be as creative as possible and take chances, and at the end of the day, have fun.
It's all about having fun. Don't think about, will someone recognize me or will I look good? As long as you're having fun, that's all that's important.
So, want to do a closing?
I don't even know how to close my own streams. So I'm Namu, and wait, you're over here. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm Namu, and this is
Whimsy,
and we're anime mutuals.
I want to say we have such amazing ideas and content for you guys in the future, and we are just happy. If you're watching this, we're happy that we got ourselves out there, and definitely stay tuned because we have a lot of good things coming.
Yeah, definitely look forward to our next episode. It's about everyone's, or it's not everyone's, but a lot of people's favorite genre, shonen. And I got a lot to say about that genre.
All right, we'll have to see. Bye, everybody.
Bye.